Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 129
on Now You Know.
All right, this week was brought to you by our wonderful, amazing Patreon patrons, whom without, we could not do this show.
And also by the Fairfield Inn and Suites, Schaumburg, Illinois. It's the highest rated Marriott in the Schaumburg market, and it has 2 Tesla charging stations plus 2 additional level 2 chargers if you're driving your electric car there. And I do want to mention, Jesse, that we've got some new Patreon perk mugs.
Wow.
You can get these at the $40 Patreon perk level, and there's only 40 of these in the world.
They're beautiful.
They are. So did you know that the Model 3 Standard is disappearing?
I don't think you're right about that. Why would it
It's not on the website anymore. You go to the Tesla website, you can't find it. Guess that means it'll never happen. The $35,000 Model 3 will never be a thing.
I mean, it's not.
That's what everyone's saying. Must be true since everyone's saying it on the internet.
But I mean, they didn't announce that it wasn't going to ever happen. They just...
Yeah, but Tesla can't possibly make that work.
Keep in mind, during the Q4 earnings call last month, that Elon said we expect to introduce the standard range Model 3 sometime during the middle of this year. It's a rough guess. Now, that does not sound like someone who is going to back down on the standard range Model 3.
No, you're right.
What else could Tesla have done for people to go, oh my gosh, there's going to be no Model 3? I mean, I understand that pulling it off of the website can freak people out, but I mean, they could just be...
This happens a lot with Tesla.
Right.
They pull stuff off the website, and then quite frequently, a few days later, something else goes up in its place. Usually they tweak something. That's how they do things.
And in fact, the website now looks different than it did before.
Right.
You know, now when you log in, it's this picture and it zooms in on the different things. So it's a different... They changed the style of the website.
Right.
So everyone can just stop freaking out about it.
All right, so we got some more details about Tesla's Sentry mode. Tesla said Sentry mode will play loud music when the alarm is triggered. Avoid leaving sentient beings in the vehicle when Sentry mode is active. So I guess this means that you can't have dog mode and Sentry mode on at the same time. We got a lot of questions about that this week.
mean, you might be able to, but I mean, keep in mind if you have a dog in the car, that I feel like a thief is going to probably think twice. Depends on the dog.
Right.
But I mean,
you
from a
don't...
Rottweiler to a Chihuahua, there's a big difference. But
sure.
I mean,
you don't want Sentry mode going off with that really loud music scaring your pet to death.
Yes, I think that's a good point.
Also, you had pointed out last week that you could technically steal the USB stick if you were that thief, which would eliminate the footage that they had just generated of them stealing the car. Right. So Tesla did say Sentry mode will send recorded footage to Tesla for temporary backup and feature improvement. You can enable or disable this collection anytime via the data sharing video clip setting in controls, settings, safety, and security. Please refer to your owner's manual for more information.
So that's great. It's actually going to... This is exactly what it should do.
Right.
That's awesome. Now, I just have one legal question. I know that you're not a lawyer. People out there might be lawyers, so maybe put this down in the comment section. If a thief goes to steal the USB stick because they think, aha, if I steal this, they're not going to know, is that count as like destroying evidence?
Oh.
Can you implicate them for an even worse crime after?
I don't know.
Does that mean that they go to jail for longer once you've caught them for stealing your car?
Great legal minds.
I don't know. I'm just wondering,
are you available for the Supreme Court?
Is that entrapment? I'm just wondering, who knows?
Yeah, comment below if you're a lawyer. I love it. And then additionally, Tesla noted that additional battery power is consumed while Sentry mode is active. To enable Sentry mode, battery level must be greater than 20%. So that's something to keep in mind. If you set Sentry mode, obviously the computers have to be running during this whole time, the sensors, so it's going to draw more power. So if you're going to leave your car for, say, multiple days at an airport, you might just want to make sure that you're going to have enough battery power. So Electrek said they got hold of an internal Tesla email to employees last week to let them know that they will be leasing Model 3 in 2 weeks. But a Tesla spokesperson responded, "This is simply an internal document to ensure teams are prepared for when we eventually introduce a leasing option to customers. No decision has been made about when Model 3 leasing will be available, but it will definitely be after the dates outlined in this document."
Right. So if you remember back to the Q4 earnings call, Elon said, "We've been reluctant to introduce leasing on Model 3 because of its effect on our GAAP financials. So it's worth noting that demand to date is with zero leasing. So obviously leasing is a way to improve Model 3 demand, but it makes our financials look worse. So Tesla has this as sort of a demand lever if they want to pull, which will basically sell more cars. They'll be leasing them. But for their GAAP financials, it looks worse because you don't see that money coming in until until they start paying you.
The good news is, though, with leased cars, because the Model 3 holds its value so well, I do think in the long run, leases are going to help Tesla. It's just that you're right. It's going to take like 2 years to get all that good financial info on the books.
I think a lot of Tesla shorts are looking for any demand lever pulls of Tesla and to point to that and go like, aha, we got you. I know, I figured it out. Ha ha ha! We know that you don't have any demand for the Model 3. They're just waiting for any story to come out, and then they can write their fuddy news piece about how the Model 3 doesn't have any more demand in the U.S. or whatever narrative they want to come up with. I think that a lot of people are waiting for their base Model 3s. I think that that's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, and time keeps on slipping into the future. But yeah, for those of you who are waiting for leasing, it sounds like it's not going to be happening in these 2 weeks. It was weird that they got that email.
Yeah, definitely something's going to happen. I'm guessing it'll be next quarter. So some cool information came out when Next Move, our friends in Germany, tested a Model X, an E-Tron, and an I-Pace head-to-head on the Autobahn. So they tested them to see what would happen with range. And here are the results. Pretty cool. We get to see that the drag coefficient on the three cars is different. So the Model X has the best drag coefficient of 0.25. The I-Pace has the worst with 0.29. All three were tested on the Autobahn, driving on 87 kilometers of the Autobahn between Munich Airport and Landshut in Germany at an average speed of 120 kilometers an hour. So this is what they found. So if you extrapolate the data out, you can see the Model X is 23% more efficient than its nearest competitor.
Wow. So this also translates into a much larger range for the Model X compared to the other two.
It's cool to have real-world data now between the three cars. We talk a lot on the show about a connection between pollution and things that we never really quite understood before about human health. There's some more information coming out from Professor Barbara Mayer from Lancaster University in the UK. She has used tree leaves to measure the amount of PM 2.5 particles because tree leaves are actually kind of like sponges. They're a good place to actually capture all these little particles that normally just blow around our atmosphere. And she was able to start seeing that these particles, which are less than 100 nanometers, okay, we're talking about so small that hundreds of them could sit on the cross-section of a human hair. That's how tiny.
Wow.
They go in your nose when you breathe, and there's no blood-brain barrier between your brain and these particles. So you breathe them in, and they go right into your brain, where they then can sit forever.
So what happens?
Well, they travel inside the nerve cells, which is not protected. They go into your brain, and then they've studied mice to see what happens, because obviously we can't test humans. So with mice, in 3 to 4 months when they're exposed to pollution, cognitive function drops measurably when exposed to this pollution. Their brains shrink in direct proportion to the amount of pollution they breathe.
Yikes. Okay.
Now, if that weren't bad enough, if we go to places that are really polluted like Delhi, India, did you know that little babies who are born there breathe the equivalent of 10 to 12 cigarettes every day?
Gross. That's awful.
And then if we go to Ontario, Canada, so 6 million Ontario residents who live within 50 meters or closer to a roadway have a 7 to 11% higher level of dementia.
Wow. So, I mean, what can we do about this?
Well, the easiest thing I can think of right now would be to drive an electric car, because something we don't talk about enough is that when you drive an electric car, I mean, we're always talking about range and price and things like that, but we're not talking about the fact that any fully electric car has no tailpipe. We're not emitting these particles. If you go to our own series that we did on our autonomous driving future, we actually did some research and found out that the average new ICE car today, internal combustion engine car, produces about 0.385 kilograms. That's about 0.85 pounds of PM 2.5 particles every year.
Wow. So that would be one. So, but everyone would have to do it. Is there some way that we can filter these out of our atmosphere?
Well, that's a really good point. Researchers are trying to find something they can do. And so Professor Marr has been planting hairy-leaved trees and shrubs around schools in the hopes that they would filter out some of these particles. And she's actually been able to absorb 50 to 60% of the particles in the leaves of these shrubs.
Interesting. So, I mean, that might be one way to help filter out the pollution, but I think the ultimate solution would be to stop creating these particles to begin with.
That's right. So Jeff Dyke, he's the president of Sonic Automotive. It's a company that operates over 100 car dealerships from many different brands throughout the U.S. So on their latest earnings call last week, Dyke was asked if he sees Model 3 having an impact, and he answered, "There's no question. I mean, they're calling out to sell well over 300,000 cars this year. They sold a lot of cars last year. You can say all you want about their service problems and all of this. They just keep selling more cars. And I don't know if it's more of a cult than it is anything else, but my hat's off to them. They're selling lots of cars. I can tell you that I've spent a lot of time in manufacturer meetings, and 5 years ago, Tesla was just not even a real big topic. And today, it's on the top of everybody's board, and it needs to be."
I think that this is a really interesting take, something that we don't really get to hear that often. It's not a manufacturer saying this. This is a guy who actually has to sell, non-Teslas.
Right.
And in the meetings that he has with manufacturers, now it sounds like practically all they're talking about is the Model 3 and the impact that it's having on their business.
Do you think he wishes he could sell Teslas? That he's, "Hey, Tesla, what do you say? Can I sell you cars?
Come on down. Come
your
get
Tesla
a Tesla
today."
here.
All right, this is a really cool story. And again, one of these stories that if we didn't have a newsroom full of really awesome people, we would never have heard about. Because this is a company from Switzerland, and they sell an electric street cleaner. So this is the Bucher CityCat 2020 EV. Now, the interesting thing here is we're going to play the video, which is their marketing video for it. We don't normally do that, but this one is interesting because why?
In the video, they are competing against themselves practically. They're advertising against their own diesel street sweeper. They're showing how much quieter it is.
Yeah, watch this and see just that difference alone.
Quiet, efficient, emission-free. The Bucher CityCat 2020 EV. A fully electric 2 cubic meter road sweeper with the same dimensions and performance as the diesel version. Totally emission-free. It saves around 26 tons of CO2 every year. The road sweeper can be operated at 40 kilometers an hour for up to 8 hours. Following a charging time of just 2.5 hours. It has a gradability of up to 30% thanks to the high torque electric motor. No familiarization is required vis-a-vis the traditional model thanks to its identical operation. Compare the noise. First the road sweeper with a diesel engine, and now the electric version. A 75% noise reduction to just 92 decibels. The conventional road sweeper and the CityCat 2020 EV. The road sweeper can be operated in noise-sensitive locations both day and night. Maintenance is simple because the CityCat 2020 EV has the same wear parts and the same service organization as current models. 70% fewer rotating parts also means significantly less maintenance and wear and tear. As a result of this and the omission of the diesel engine, operating costs can be reduced by around 75%. The road sweeper's usual 2 cubic meter hopper volume and additional payload of 1,450 kilograms enables exceptionally long sweeping distances and very high fill levels. The Bucher CityCat 2020 EV. Tradition meets innovation.
Okay, so we got a tweet from the Los Angeles Street Maintenance Division saying that they've tried out this Bucher 2020 EV street cleaner, and it successfully fit in the narrow space between the curb and the bus boarding islands in Los Angeles. I'm going to throw this out to any municipality out there in the world. Pretty much every city I've ever gone to they own at least one street sweeper.
Right.
It's kind of like a prerequisite, right? I would say at your next budget meeting where you need to buy a new one of these, please consider this EV version, because just if you listen to the marketing there, 75% quieter, 75% lower operating costs.
Oh, that's the one that's going to catch the ear of your, Department of Public Works or whatever.
Yeah.
That's really, really exciting.
Saves 26 tons of CO2 per year. It runs all day long, only needs 2.5 hours to charge, and it can carry 1,450 kilograms of payload with 70% fewer rotating parts.
Right. So again, less maintenance means lower operating costs. That is probably the biggest thing. Also, it's nice and small and compact. Usually see a street sweeper, it takes up half the road. I think that, bring this to your town meetings, show this to your, heads of department in wherever you live. Just say, hey, this is something that you've probably never heard of before. 75% less operating costs. Wow, look at that.
I mean, if you're a mayor
budget,
running for
right.
office, right? I mean, you can run on the platform of, I'm going to keep my streets cleaner.
Right.
And quieter.
Cleaner and greener. All right, so in a shocking finding, scientists discover a herd of unicorns living in a remote, previously unexplored valley in the Andes Mountains. Even more surprisingly to the researchers was the fact that the unicorns spoke perfect English.
Wait, stop for a second.
What?
I think I just read the headline there that said that real unicorns were discovered in the Andes Mountains.
Yeah, I'm getting to it. The scientists named the population after their distinctive horn, Ovid's unicorn. These four-horned, silver-white unicorns were previously unknown to science. Now, after almost 2 centuries, the mystery of what sparked this odd phenomenon is finally solved. Dr. Jorge Perez, an evolutionary biologist from the University of La Paz, and several companions were exploring the Andes Mountains when they found a small valley with no other animals or humans. Perez noticed that the valley had what appeared to be a natural fountain, surrounded by 2 peaks of rock and silver snow.
Hold on.
What?
You're telling me that we found unicorns?
No, okay, I'll admit. This is
this April 1st or something?
no.
This isn't even April 1st.
This was written by a computer.
Okay.
An AI computer, to be
Wait, what
more
part of it
precise.
was written by a computer? The whole thing?
No, the first 2 sentences were basically the prompt for the computer to continue writing.
Okay, so
And
you enter
basically-
those 2 sentences and then
it wrote the rest with absolutely
it
no...
tries to follow that style and
Yes.
that subject?
Yes.
Okay, so who did this?
This is by OpenAI. So
Elon set up this foundation.
Elon set up the foundation to basically research AI and make sure that everyone has access to it.
Okay, so I can get this program and have it write a story for me?
Actually, no, you can't. Here is a statement from OpenAI. Due to our concerns about malicious applications of the technology, we are not releasing the trained model. As an experiment in responsible disclosure, we are instead releasing a much smaller model for researchers to experiment with. GPT-2 generates synthetic text samples in response to the model being primed with an arbitrary input. The model is chameleon-like. It adapts to the style and content of the conditioning text. This allows the user to generate realistic and coherent continuations about a topic of their choosing.
Okay, this is horrifying. This is actually, I think, one of the biggest stories of the year.
Yeah.
If you guys wrap your head around this for a second, and it took me a while to wrap my head around this.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the second iteration of this program, of this AI program. They took 40 gigabytes of text from 8 million websites, and now they're able to basically write, with a very small prompt, something which I don't think many humans could tell was written by a computer. Now, to test this, and I think it's important to test this to make you see how incredible this is, we're going to read a speech from John F. Kennedy, and we're going to read a fake speech written by this OpenAI program in the style of John F. Kennedy. And you're going to comment below which one you think is real. Next week on the show, we'll tell you which one was real. I'm guessing that it's going to be like a 50-50 in the comments. I don't think most people are going to be able to pick out the real one.
Right, especially without Googling it, without doing your research. Obviously, if you do your research, you could probably find it. But what I'm saying is, see if you can spot the difference here.
It is time once again. I believe this nation can do great things if the people make their voices heard. The men and women of America must once more summon our best elements, all our ingenuity, and find a way to turn such overwhelming tragedy into the opportunity for a greater good and the fulfillment of all our dreams. In the months and years to come, there will be many battles in which we will have to be strong, and we must give all of our energy, not to repel invaders, but rather to resist aggression and to win the freedom and the equality for all of our people. The destiny of the human race hangs in the balance. We cannot afford for it to slip away. Now and in the years to come, the challenge before us is to work out how we achieve our ultimate destiny. If we fail to do so, we are doomed.
All right, in time for script number 2.
These are extraordinary times, and we face an extraordinary challenge. Our strength as well as our convictions have imposed upon this nation the role of leader in freedom's cause. No role in history could be more difficult or more important. We stand for freedom. That is our conviction for ourselves. That is our only commitment to others. No friend, no neutral, and no adversary should think otherwise. We are not against any man, or any nation, or any system, except as it is hostile to freedom. Nor am I here to present a new military doctrine, bearing any one name or aimed at any one area. I am here to promote the freedom doctrine. The great battleground for the defense and expansion of freedom today is the whole southern half of the globe, Asia, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East, the lands of the rising peoples. Their revolution is the greatest in human history.
Go down to the comment section down below and say which one was the real speech. Was it script number 1 or was it script number 2?
Yeah, and I think we should continue this discussion next week.
All right, let's move on to the lightning round.
All right, so I think Oregon has hit the trifecta.
Is that horse racing?
It's normally horse racing,
Okay.
yes. In this case, it's energy. Portland General Electric and NextEra have announced plans to construct a 300 megawatt wind, 50 megawatt solar, and 30 megawatt AC energy storage plant at the Wheat Ridge Renewable Energy Facility located in Morrow County. Now, the reason why I think this is such a big story is because this is the first time in the U.S. that we've heard of that there's going to be wind, solar, and batteries built in this scale in one place.
And I think it's really important too because, I mean, solar, wind, and batteries all work together really well to bring you reliant power because
they do.
having all three together basically gets you a perfectly stable grid.
Exactly. Now, the wind component of this facility will be the first thing to be operational, and that'll be December of 2020. Now, Jesse, I don't want to be the bad guy, all right? We're almost always the bad guys when we report this kind of story. The story being that this week we heard from Mercedes-Benz that their EQC, which is their all-electric SUV, was supposed to come out right about now. It's been pushed back to November of this year. Tesla is continually eating the lunch of all these other competitors. Why? Because these other competitors keep announcing at trade shows that they will release a car on a certain date, which they have no idea of whether they can or not. And then, as they approach that date, they keep pushing it back. Meanwhile, Tesla just keeps making cars.
We have continually read this story over and over again. Originally, we're just like, oh, okay, well, where are they getting the batteries from? That's kind of odd that they don't mention that. And then, oh, it turns out they don't have batteries, so they can't put them in the cars, which means they can't release the cars.
I mean, we want this car to be out, and we want people to consider buying it, and we want it to be a well-designed and engineered EV, but here are the specs. You decide. It should have a 280-mile, 450-kilometer range using NEDC, so more likely it's going to be far less, probably around 200 miles of range. We'll have a top speed of 111 miles an hour, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour of 5.1 seconds, a max charge of 110 kilowatts, and should be priced to start at $70,000. So Next Move, which is Germany's leading electric car rental company, is expanding its fleet of 350 electric cars in 2019 by, get this, 100 Tesla Model 3s.
Wow.
And to prove that that is actually taking place, they took possession of their first 4 Model 3 performances in Berlin. So you're actually able to rent them right now. And the Tesla Model 3 will soon be available for short and long-term rentals at all 10 of their locations throughout Europe. The company is Tesla's largest customer in Germany.
Wow.
So we are seeing auto sales slumping in China, Europe, and the US. And the big story is always like, oh, well, that means the economy is dropping and belts are tightening. We want to point out here that there's data to suggest that that is actually not true. I mean, auto sales in China did fall 15.8% in January to 2.37 million units. And it's now been 8 straight months of falling sales. But if you look at these charts from Clean Technica, you can see that even though sales overall are falling, there's this little green line at the top, which is growing.
Yes.
What is that little green line?
That little green line is EV sales. So you'll notice that had a, if you were to zoom way in on it, that grew quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, in fact, in most cases, it pretty much doubled. Right now, this looks like 2 little data points that seem insignificant. Our conjecture is that if you look at these charts, say 5 or 10 years from now, you're going to notice that this is the beginning of an S-curve.
Right.
And so you're going to see this double and double and double and double until the green basically takes over the whole chart and replaces all those ICE cars.
At one point, it's just going to absolutely annihilate the ICE car sales.
To show this off, take a piece of paper, fold it in half again, and then comment below how many times you were able to fold it. So Honda has confirmed that it'll be laying off the 3,500 staff at its Swindon, UK factory when it closes in 2021. Now, the Swindon plant makes 150,000 Honda Civics per year. The Japanese car maker says it's closing the plant as part of its plan to accelerate its commitment to electric cars. Katsui Anui, Honda's chief officer for Europe, said the company was dealing with unprecedented changes affecting the industry. This is just one company.
Yeah.
This is Honda. Guess what's happening all throughout the auto industry?
Right. Lots of plants are being planned to be shut down. The funny thing here is that they're not like saying that they're going to retool it to make their, Honda urban EV. They're just going to shutter it. And that means that other car companies, maybe car companies that are doing well, like maybe Tesla, could say, where would we like a factory? Swindon looks pretty good. There's this old Honda factory that they are closing down in 2021. Maybe that'll be a good place to make Model 3s and Model Ys.
That's right. So last year, in February, Tesla had its Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day at Gigafactory in Reno. This year, they had the event for more kids. They had 200 students at 8 locations, including the Fremont factory, Gigafactory 1, and 6 other locations.
Tesla said, with females making up only a fraction of the engineering workforce in the United States, Tesla is committed to increasing female students' exposure to manufacturing and engineering.
About 80 Tesla employees helped volunteer to create a fun, engaging experience. Activities are hands-on and explore different fields in engineering.
They help students learn about different engineering fields through projects like build a simple electric motor, build a suspension bridge, or build a balloon-propelled car.
And get this video, Jesse. What do you think this is?
That's a Model 3. That's a big boat. And I see some Chinese characters there. Are these Model 3s in China?
Yes, it is.
Woo!
1,600 of them.
Wow.
Just pulling off the boat to arrive in China.
That's super exciting.
Yeah. A Chinese auto company called Kandi Technologies Group just got approval from NHTSA, which is the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, to sell 2 models of their car in the U.S. The Model EX3, which is an all-electric 5-seater SUV with 188 miles of range, and the K22, which is a 2-seater subcompact all-electric car with 83 miles of range.
Remember this one? We talked about this one a while ago. This one was the cutest EV I think I've ever seen. It has like lips and everything.
Right.
Weird, but I think that this is awesome. We have an SUV with 188 miles of range. Now, it's not the 200 miles of range, but it's not nothing to shake a stick at. The 188, I think, that's enough.
The company said it will begin the process of launching the Model EX3 and the Model K22 for the American market. No firm timeline is known at this point.
But they got approved. That's exciting.
You know what else is exciting?
What?
Look at this chart.
Look at this graph!
So this is all form of energy production in Europe, and you can see that blue line is wind, and that's from 2008 to 2018, has going up to about 180 gigawatts. 2018 alone, they added 18 gigawatts of new capacity for wind and solar, whereas natural gas and coal installations didn't even reach 1 gigawatt of additional. And just don't miss it there, that little yellow line, which is hard to see, that's also going from practically zero to...
Yeah, it's kind of like a lime green. That's PV solar.
Yeah. All right, it's time for our video contributor story. What do we got this week, Jess?
We have Martin in Canada with the Eco Dome.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. Martin Lévesque speaking here. First of all, I want to congratulate Jesse on your brand new Model 3. Hope you're gonna enjoy it to the fullest. Now, since as you can see, probably, it's snowing a lot. And as EV owners and even plug-in hybrids, you have one common issue. It's the charge port getting snow and ice. So I found something that can solve this problem. So it's called the Eco Dome. So let me show you. So here it is, the Eco Dome. As you can see, it's covered in snow. It's made right here in the province of Quebec by a company named Rouler Electric, or Drive Electric if you want. And it holds in, it completely covers the charge port, and there's 4 magnets to hold it in place, just as you can see here. So when you put it in place, just be careful not to scratch your paint. And as you can see, there's a charging cable, and this is where I plugged. It's just a 110 volt. I live in an apartment, so I don't have access to a to a public charging station or a 240 volt plug. But let's see how it looks like under this. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it's clean. No snow, no ice. So let me show you the phone number. It's from Rouler Electric. This is a toll-free number. It's better if you call to order one because the English version of the website is not up to date. So contact them for your own Eco Dome. Here's a phone number, roulerelectric.com. Now you know.
Okay, so it's not Biodome.
That's good. 'Cause
That's pretty good. That movie was
that was the worst.
pretty bad. You know, it's the first movie that Jack Black was ever in.
No, I didn't know that.
He plays a song at the college at one point. But anyway, I think that this is a pretty good solution.
And many people asked, oh, well, how would the magnets work? They do work because the rear quarter panel of the Model 3 is made of steel, whereas the doors are made of aluminum.
So, very lucky. It seems like it could have gone either way with the magnetic.
All right, it's time for our Patreon bonus stories. For all those new viewers out there, and we got quite a few in the past couple weeks, Patreon bonus stories are something that if you give us as little as $1 a month, you can go over to Patreon and watch all sorts of stories that we're about to do there every week and help support the show.
Yep. So head on over to Patreon, search for Now You Know. All of our patrons get to see the Patreon bonus stories.
All right, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories where we just did a lot of time leaps and it's very complicated, but
Yeah.
we're back. I think we're in the right time period.
Yes.
Okay, good. It's time for the Patreon shout-outs. These are people...
Absolutely. I'm sorry, wrong time
Oh,
period.
wrong
Here we
period.
go. Okay,
Whoa.
here we go.
These are people that support us for $5 a month or more every month. We need you guys to support our show, and these guys really came through. So who do we got this week?
This week we have Michael J. Booley,
Daniel Ellis,
Christoph Hubert, and Jana Russinger,
Eric Fleischer,
William White,
Bill Bergen,
Andre Bergain,
Elizabeth Shosting,
Jeremy Oates,
Robert Cosgriff,
Rizard Melinda,
Dan, Amber, and Eli Brown,
Ethan Atterbury,
Ken Hughes,
and Mike Malit. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We can't do this show without you guys.
All right, it's time for Elon's tweets of the week. What do we got here?
All right, well, we have a very contentious tweet. Elon tweeted, Tesla made 0 cars in 2011, but will make around 500,000 cars in 2019.
He's off his rocker. Why did someone let him tweet that?
Oh my God, he said a thing! Then he went back and corrected himself. He said, meant to say annualized production rate at end of 2019, probably around 500,000, i.e., 10,000 cars a week. Deliveries for year still estimated to be about 400,000.
Glad we cleared
Look
that
out,
up.
Mr. Musk! The SEC's gonna get you! I don't know why so many people were freaking out about it. Careful where you print your comments, Mr. Musk. I'm gonna get you. All right, another fun tweet. Elon said SpaceX commercial rocket launch market share went from 0% in 2010 to 65% in 2018. Despite massive subsidies to Boeing and Lockheed, they have never won a fair competition against SpaceX for several years.
So look at this chart. It's maybe hard to read if you don't understand it. The blue that's growing is SpaceX. So it grows from 0 in 2012 up to 65% this year. Then the light blue is American companies like like Lockheed and Boeing, and those disappear because they're no longer doing commercial launches that can compete.
But they are getting money from the U.S. government,
Right.
I'd like to point out.
There are the Europeans in green, and there's a little bit of red there, which is Russia. But basically, SpaceX is eating everyone's lunch, and it's just growing, and before long, probably will take over the entire market.
Basically, what it looks like what happened, is that SpaceX just came in and took all of Russia's market share.
Yep.
Man, Russia must be so mad.
All right, time for community mail time. Christopher's Valentine's Day surprise. So our friend Chris was noticing that his wife was getting annoyed driving her ICE car since he got his Model 3. So what did he do for Valentine's Day?
He got her a Model 3. How sweet.
That is
Wow.
really sweet. So we're going to be getting to visit our friend Marlo, who used our referral code during our Roadster tour. We're going to visit him, and we're going to see here his Obsidian Black Performance Model 3 with this awesome license plate.
Right, and he also got some badging on there. I don't think that's I don't think that's Tesla
Approved.
OEM badging there.
Remember last week when we talked about the new Tesla Back to the Future Easter egg on the Tesla app where it shows your charge as 1.21 gigawatts? Our friend Ed reminded us that giga or giga can actually be pronounced either way, soft G or not. So we're going to play what Merriam-Webster says you can pronounce it.
No.
Giga. Giga.
What do you mean no? That's what Merriam says.
I don't care. That's wrong.
What's
if
wrong?
If you go anywhere and you start talking about gigawatts, people are going to laugh at you.
Are they going to? Oh, because they're going to be like getting jiggy with it?
No, because that's not how you say it. It's giga. Everyone says giga, at least in the circles that I have frequented, which are plentiful.
Okay.
So I'm just
You're
saying,
in the giga
don't make a fool out of yourself by saying gigawatts unless you're talking about Back to the Future.
Our friend Evan in Trenton, Ontario, Canada, offers wine tours in his Tesla P85 Plus Model S. One of the tours is a wine tour where he visits wineries in Prince Edward County, and during the visit to the wineries, he teaches his guests all about EVs. The second tour is an educational tour where they ride in the Model S and they learn all about EVs with no wine stops. So you get to learn about wine and the Teslas.
That's great.
Isn't that fantastic? All right, it's time for our on-air question. This
All
is
right.
a new segment. It's kind of like our Patreon question of the week last time, but this week we're actually going to be going to Discord
Yes.
and asking someone to read their question on air.
Yes.
All right, so who do we have on air this week, Jesse?
This week we have Will. He is asking a question to us.
All right.
Hi, Will.
Hi, guys. What do you guys think about Consumer Reports' recent change in not recommending the Model 3?
That is a good question. They did their survey back in July to September.
September, yeah.
And I mean, Tesla obviously responded back to them saying like, you know, this stuff has already been fixed.
It seemed like we've got this data. Tesla's responded to it, which is what you want. I mean, it's Consumer Reports. It's all about we want companies to be accountable to consumers. Tesla tries to fix all those problems with consumers, but you didn't do it in the right time period. So we're going to ding you and take you off the list. It's like, it just felt like they were looking for reasons to do it as opposed to actually trying to help consumers.
Especially since Consumer Reports also, with I guess the same surveys, also showed a huge level of customer satisfaction with the vehicles. I mean, we're talking like 99 out of 100% satisfaction rates with consumers about the Model 3. It was just really bizarre.
Yeah, and they mentioned that there's other manufacturers like the Jeep Wrangler and the Chevy Corvette where there's users who love the product so much, as if that's a bad thing. Like if you've got a group of people that love your product, there's probably a reason for that.
And I mean, I think the worst part of it was that they called them reliability issues. Reliability issues to me, and maybe it's because I'm a used car buyer for the most part, is where the car stops working and you have to pay someone in order for your car to start working again. It's not like, you know, paint chip issues. It's not...
Or a glitch. Like,
right.
That gets fixed with an over-the-air update.
So, I mean, I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on our thoughts, Will?
I mostly agree with you guys. I thought also the timing of the release was a little, just as you pointed out, it was off. I mean, they're using older data. I'm surprised they haven't released a newer survey with all the recent deliveries, especially from Q3 and Q4. It seemed like they were basing everything off the first 6 months, where Tesla was kind of hitting that ramp up, trying to fix those issues and address them at the same time. Yeah, I think it would be great for Consumer Reports to kind of go for another round of a survey now with all the latest Model 3 owners. Like you, Jesse, I'm also a recent owner, and really just ask the question again, what do you feel about the vehicle, and go from there.
Well, and Will, this leads me to a question I have for you, which is, so you're a new Model 3 owner. How do you feel about the reliability of your vehicle?
Well, I've had mine since September, so like I said, I'm mostly new, and I have had zero issues with it. I love the vehicle. I find reasons to drive it every day as long as the weather cooperates.
The other thing is reliability for me. We all kind of assume that the first year of a vehicle, it's going to be reliable, right? It's the year 3, 4, 5. And this won't tell you that. This data isn't going to tell you anything because obviously the vehicle is not old enough, but they should be using some data from other Tesla vehicles to try and give a hint as to what's going to wear out. And there's so little to wear out in the, year 6 and stuff. Whereas if you buy an ICE vehicle, many parts start wearing out by that time.
Right.
Thanks so much for you guys' calling. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We hope to be doing this more in the future, so be sure to keep asking questions. You'll probably get back on the show if you keep asking such cool questions. Thank you so much, Will. We're going to sign you off. I'll have you say goodbye.
All right, goodbye, guys. Thanks.
That was awesome.
That was
first
so cool.
inaugural call-in. I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that was pretty good success. Didn't have too many hiccups.
I think people understand now what we were driving at, which is kind of like our call-in radio show, which is that you get your chance to kind of be on air, which we think is a little bit better than just reading off your question. Because it was nice. We got to do a little give and take with Will, and I wouldn't have known that he was a Model 3 owner other than that.
Right. So thank you so much, Will, to letting us call you in the middle of your day. Hopefully we gave you enough warning. I think we gave you about like an hour's worth of warning. And it's on Discord, which I know not all of us use all the time. But anyway, let us know in the comments down below what you thought of our new on-air feature. I hope that it'll be a welcome addition for everyone on Patreon.
All right, let's do our Supercharger reviews. What do we got this week?
Hey, Zach and Jesse. This is Tim Hinton here in the Cranberry, New Jersey Tesla supercharging station. It's a 4-stall supercharger. It also has a couple of the EVgo fast chargers for other vehicles. It's right off the turnpike. It's one of the easy exit stops. Overall, I would rank this probably a 7 out of 10. And now you know.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. It's Aiden here at Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania. I'm here at the Supercharger right behind the Residence Inn. It has 6 charging stations, and there's the Resident Inn right there. Right across the street of the parking lot, we have Quaker Steak and Lube. We have Starbucks right over here, as well as a Permanente Brothers right across the street. Further across the hallway in front of the Residence Inn, we have Walmart and Best Buy. Also, right over here across the highway, we have the Cranberry Mall. Joann Fabrics is the most prominent structure you can see in this video. But all in all, I give this charging station a 8 out of 10 stars, only because you have to cross the highway to get to the mall, and you have to cross the street to get to the Permanente Brothers.
Howdy, today I'm at the largest supercharger in San Francisco Bay Area in Daly City, where we have 40 stalls atop the parking garage at Serramonte Center, just near the Macy's.
Hi everyone, this is Michael, and you may notice that I am not actually standing in front of a charger. I am at Mohegan Sun Casino in Eastern Connecticut, and I'm not standing in front of it because the chargers are valet only. It's not a very good location. It's sort of in the middle of nowhere, and the only amenities here are the casino. So if you like cigarette smoke-filled air, overpriced food and drinks, and dirty bathrooms, good location. I give this 2 stars.
Again, one of the best parts of the show. I've got so many best parts of the show now. I don't know what to pick.
It's just a good show. I enjoy doing it every week. It's really nice.
All right, so we got a few new superchargers this week. What do we have?
Number 619 in the U.S., the 12-stall in Orlando, Florida, North Alafaya Trail.
We have the 10-stall Urban in Santa Monica, California at the Santa Monica Place.
Number 61 in Canada, number 1467 in the world, the 8-stall at St. Leonard, New Brunswick, Canada.
All right, for Be Free this week, we have our friends at Meet Tesla, which is a German company. We are a small family that decided to go fully electric. We rent our Teslas for weddings, business trips, and city trips for weekends. A lot of our customers are completely new to the EV world and get their first glimpse through us. So you can rent them out at meettesla.de. And they were a family that I met online that used one of our Tesla Fremont tours and got to tour the Fremont factory, and their family's growing. So really excited that they're offering their Teslas up in Germany. Go check them out. And if you're an Elon employee, they give discounts for you. All right, a past video that we have you may not have seen is part of our autonomous driving future. It's Will Car Pollution Vanish in our autonomous driving future? And we did some really good research here and showed you just how much pollution ICE cars actually pollute.
And how our autonomous driving future may or may not deal with that pollution. You're going to have to watch it to find out, folks.
All right, it's time for a giveaway. We've got a poster to give away this week. This is an Elon Musk poster. Rockets are cool. There's no getting around that. That is a quote from our buddy Elon.
It's the Patreon giveaway.
And if you want to get into our bucket of fun here, you give us $1 a month or more. For every dollar you give us, you get another card in the barrel. And who do we got this week as our winner, Jesse?
This week we have, oh boy, Peter McMillan.
Peter McMillan, congratulations. You're the winner of this Rockets Are Cool Poster Envy poster. And you made it to the end of the show. Whew. So did we.
So did we.
Whew. It was a long show.
But we still have In Depth to do, which is coming out tomorrow, so be sure to check that out.
How do we do that?
We have to do it.
Oh, that's right.
Right now, after we finish this up, we have to go record In Depth.
Wow.
But hey, we do it for you, and we enjoy doing it every week.
That's right.
That's not necessarily true. We don't enjoy doing it every week, but we do it every week.
Right.
Which is the important thing. You know, this show takes a lot of work. It takes about basically all of our weekends.
Yeah.
And usually 2 to 3 days a week. Not full days, but after work of getting together.
Pre-production
meetings, going through all of the different stories. We have to sift through hundreds and hundreds of stories every week to break it down to about like 20 or so to actually tell you. And, you know, that doesn't include the Patreon bonus stories and other things like that. But anyway,
And you know, we get told stories from all over the world. So we have a newsroom full of dozens and dozens of great people who sift through stories in their little neck of the woods and find really cool stuff. So a lot of the things you hear are probably only because we have such a great community. We could not do this ourselves.
And speaking of our community, you may be wondering what all these names are that are floating on all around us. Those are our patrons, people who have supported us for $5 more a month and then waited for their Patreon shout out. These people support the show. They make it possible every single week. So that way, every week when you log on to youtube.com, or actually probably different in different countries, right? So I don't know. I just live here. You know, when you go onto YouTube and you're looking for content about Tesla, about sustainability, you're going to see us every week because we're here every week sitting in these chairs in front of this solar panel desk, which is the coolest thing.
But you know, we're going to be in different places coming up fairly soon.
That's true.
So we're going to be going to Europe to do a Model 3 European tour. Jesse's going to meet me on the UK leg of that tour. And I'm going to be reporting on a couple of these Tesla Time Newses from Europe. So that's going to be fun to figure out how to do that. And so, yeah, we want you guys, if you're in Europe and want to see us on the tour or whatever, message us. Maybe we'll be able to meet up with you. We're going to be Facebooking like where we're going to be and stuff. We'd love to meet as many people as possible. So that's some news that's coming up in April. And if you want to support the show, but you're not like maybe into Patreon yet, or maybe you want to support us even more, how can you do that?
You can use our Amazon affiliate link. Basically, as Amazon associates, we earn from qualifying purchases. So if you click the link down below, do your regular Amazon shopping, well, we earn from qualifying purchases.
Yeah. And I want to give another shout out to the Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. They're in Schaumburg, Illinois, and they're a sponsor of us. And we went and checked out their hotel, stayed at their hotel. I loved their staff, super duper friendly. I love the fact that they have Tesla chargers and EV chargers right there in front of the hotel. And I love the best part of all was that I got to go out on the roof of the hotel and see all of their solar panels, which power their hotel. So a hotel that gets it. Like, you're comfortable, you're treated nicely, you charge up, and you know that all the electricity pretty much came from the sun. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
And they support the show.
It's pretty
So go
awesome.
stay there. Next time you're going to Chicago, they're right near the airport. So awesome.
All right. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this episode. We know that these are long episodes. We know because they're twice as long for us
because we mess up twice as much.
We mess up twice as much, and you know, every time that we go from like over here to over here, and we're like, you know, like that's us saying something wrong. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button. It messes with the YouTube algorithm and allows more people to see the show. It's the best understanding I have of it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We do this every single week. We also have In Depth, which comes out tomorrow and also every Tuesday. And we have Model 3 Tips of the Week, which comes out on Wednesdays, which if you are a Patreon member, you get to see early on Mondays.
Right.
So be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Now you know.